Hello and welcome to Nathie and Mike United. We are teaming up again to do a discussion and review of a game, and of course this time we're going to be talking about Marvel Powers United.
Yes.
So we normally do this sort of thing on the VR Inside podcast, but just recently we kind of wanted to go really in depth with some games, really give them a sort of detailed review and discussion. We recently did it on Seeking Dawn, and I think a lot of you guys and girls out there really enjoyed that one, so we thought we'd team up again, unite, so to speak, for this Marvel Powers United review. So how you doing, Nathie? How you doing? You alright?
I am doing alrighty-tighty, and congratulations with the 20k milestone, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. I'm struggling through today with the heat. I'm sure everyone can sort of understand. It's been such a crazy heat wave. Everyone's suffering a little bit, but we've been pushing through, right? We've been sacrificing our minds, bodies, and souls to deliver this review to you. So I hope you guys and girls enjoy this one. But let's just jump straight into like the basics of the game so people can understand what we're talking about here. So the game is obviously Marvel Powers United. It's currently available for pre-order and is available for release tomorrow, which is going to be the 26th of July 2018. It's an Oculus home exclusive title, so unfortunately if you've got a Vive, you're going to have to find a way to play it. And it's going to be $29.99 in British pounds, $39.99 in US dollars. So really sort of in the high end of games that are available. You know, you don't see many VR games that are really pushing this price right now. Mm-hmm. The game is made by Sanzaru Games. They're actually a California development studio, and they've made previous VR titles that include Ripcoil and VR Sports Challenge. I don't know if you played either of those games.
You mean me? I was like,
yeah.
I was like, you're asking the people out there if they played it. But yeah, I did play both of them. Yeah. It's been a while ago though. I think I tried Ripcoil when the Oculus Touch controllers launched. So that must have been 2 years ago. And as far as I know, it was some sort of disc throwing game, right? Set in the future.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I can remember. I honestly don't remember that much from the Sparks title anymore, but that must have been around the same time as Ripcoil. So yeah, my memory is getting bad, but that's what you get when you play so many VR games. It's just crazy how much I played when the Touch just came out, so yeah, sorry.
I remember it being like one of the first real competitive games, but again, like you say, because it was one of the first, it didn't really have the community there to sort of make it grow.
Yeah, I don't think it did that well on Oculus Home, but at least it was a first taster of what would become, let's say, the Onward League and what we see happening with Echo now. So yeah, it's kind of like one of the godfathers of esports. So yeah, back then they were even trying to aim for the competitive side of things, and that's great news. They are constantly trying to push that forward.
Sure, but you know, I'm pleased to say, like, you know, in a dry season like we're in right now, not only just the heat, but in terms of VR titles from AAA developers, you know, it's nice to have a game that uses such a huge IP as Marvel.
Yeah. So that's something else, right? Something we haven't seen before, and that's why I was so excited when I heard about the news that Oculus was going to bundle Marvel Powers United with the Rift, because that's huge promotion. Everyone knows Marvel, everyone knows their superheroes, so when they then walk into a media store or they are searching online, that box with all the characters on there will definitely catch their eye, and the fact that you can then be that superhero and get immersed within the world of Marvel is a seller. It really is. So this will be a big push for VR, and I hope we will see this more in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't get much bigger IPs than Marvel right now.
No. That's the biggest hype ever at this moment. Yeah. Like, there's so many movies coming out, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, I'm a huge fan of the movies. I have seen them all, apart from Infinity War. So I do have all the backstory. I'm just waiting to see that title. But I think it's coming to DVD soon, so I'm going to be waiting for that one.
Yes.
But I just want to quickly say thanks to Oculus and Sanzaru for giving us early access to the game. You know, we always really appreciate having early access to games before they come out. And I think so far we've put around sort of 5 to 6 hours worth of time into the game so far, right? Mm-hmm. And like you said, there's tons of hype around this game. It's going to be like a big title for the summer. So what we wanted to do in this review is kind of cover all the important parts of the game, things we thought were good, maybe things that we didn't think were so good, so you can have an informed decision on whether you should buy the game or not. Ultimately, that's kind of what we want to give you the information so you can make an informed decision.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's jump into sort of prior to release first, and I've actually had hands-on with this game prior to like our early access, and that was at Oculus Connect 4 last year. I got to demo the game. I played as Rocket Raccoon, who's my favorite character, and you know, I was pretty positive about the game, and I was excited about what they were going to do with the Marvel sort of IP. And yeah, generally I was feeling very good about the whole thing. You know, I was looking forward to the release, and now we're finally here. So the trailer recently dropped, I think it was about a week ago, by Oculus, and it was kind of a super polished trailer, right? Like, super polished. It really sort of played on the nostalgia of being a kid and wanting to become like a superhero and play with your friends.
Yes.
And then it kind of fast forwarded to, you know, the 26th of July 2018, the game drops, and now you can relive that childhood dream of being a superhero and play the game in VR with your friends. But I think it was the small clip of gameplay at the end of that trailer that kind of disappointed everyone. You know, it had a lot of criticism on the Reddit. A lot of the community were kind of a bit worried about it. That's where the concerns, I think, were lying. Because the gameplay kind of looked a little bit shallow, I think, was the general sort of reception that people were giving it. But we can add a bit more context to that and talk about that a little bit more.
Sure.
So in terms of content, you know, you are getting a fair amount of content. I know it's an expensive title, but you do get a lot of content with this. You're talking about like 18 iconic characters from the Marvel Universe. You know, some of the best in there: Wolverine, Thor, Rocket Raccoon, Star-Lord, Spiderman. You know, they're in there.
Hulk, Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
My brain does not compute. There are so many.
Deadpool.
Also, a few that I have never heard of. Maybe I should read some more comics. But yeah, some decent characters, enough to have fun with. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Although the only one thing I would say I'm a little bit disappointed about is that Iron Man isn't in there, because he's my second favorite character, put it that way. You also get 9 villain characters, of course, the iconic Thanos, and then other sort of characters from there that sort of lead his sort of army. You've got 4 different enemy types, 10 different locations, which are all taken from the movies. You know, so you've got like Wakanda, you know, you've got like the streets of New York and stuff like that. So some really cool locations that you can go and battle in. A lot of the characters have their own voice acting, so they say lines, iconic lines, and their abilities are in keeping with the characters. So, you know, if like Deadpool has his guns and his katanas, you know, that's the weapons that you play with. You know, Rocket's got his 2 pistols and it's like his shotgun type thing. Yeah. So it's all in keeping with the characters, which is cool. So, you know, as the Hulk, for example, you don't have any guns or weapons or anything. You just smash people.
You can pretty much totally dive into the character, you know, from the movies. They have the same guns, the same abilities, things like that.
Yeah. Solely. So the game is a 4-player co-op game, but you can play it single player with AI characters taking control of the other sort of superheroes. And the game just features a ton of unlockable outfits, poses, and also legendary collectible items. But we'll be talking about more in depth about those in a little bit. The whole premise of the game is, you know, of course, Thanos is there to sort of, you know, make everyone have a miserable day and take over the world. And you have to stop him. You know, his allies, in terms of the villains, they all have these cosmic cubes, and when you defeat them, which happens randomly throughout all the levels, you collect these cubes, and then if you collect enough cubes, you get to fight Thanos himself. But we haven't quite made it there yet, have we?
Almost. We're almost there. We need to grind a little more, and then we are finally there. I'm super curious what that's going to be all about, because I mean, the final boss is the best you can get in a game, right? I mean, so.
Absolutely, and we are determined, like, to keep on playing and show you that gameplay.
We're close enough now, so we can't stop. Yeah. There is no way we can stop.
So maybe keep an eye on both of our channels, like, for the rest of this week. Hopefully we'll have a video showing the final showdown with Thanos on the channel soon as well. So let's talk about the very beginning of the game. Like when you fire it up, you start with a prologue, right? Like a little tutorial section. And it makes for a very nice introduction to the game, very polished.
It's great.
Yeah, maybe you can talk about that a little bit more in terms of like the walkthrough that you get there.
Yeah, so when you boot up the game, you can pick 2 characters, right? Or one of the 2. You have
That's right.
Captain America and
I think it's Black Widow.
Black Widow, yes. So you pick one of the 2. Then you get an introduction. You spawn in the city of New York, I think. Yep. And yeah, you just meet all the characters. They talk to you. They show how they beat up enemies, and you just need to walk along. It's like a intro sequence of a movie. And then along the way, you learn more about the gameplay mechanics. So you meet with all the characters, and then in a smooth way, you also learn how you need to play the game. And that's a great combination, super nice. So you meet characters such as the Hulk, Rocket, we have Deadpool talking to Wolverine or actually being in a fight, Spiderman waving at you from a roof. There was so much going on, there was so much to see and of course to do, because you need to move through the level that gets destroyed by your favorite superheroes. So yeah, the tutorial was super interactive and just amazing to play. I would definitely replay the tutorial, no joke.
Yeah, and I totally agree. It was a great introduction to the game, really makes you feel like a part of the universe.
It just blends in so nicely.
Yeah, and the whole scene is like taking part underneath Stark Towers, so there's some sort of epic battle going on there. Then you sort of get together with everyone, and then you sort of get transported to Alpha Space Station, which is like your player hub and your base of operations, right? You know, from there you can invite other players to join you. You've got a room for sort of loot crates, which you can open up and check what's inside. You've got a box for all your legendary items, and you've got some other bits of sort of the space station that you can explore and just look around. Little Easter eggs inside, like Baby Groot is in there. You can just sort of go up to him. He sort of just says his lines. And then you've got a dog in there called Lockjaw. You know, apparently he's from a Marvel series called The Inhumans, so he's part of this game as well. And then from there you can sort of just like choose what you want to do and launch the game from there.
It's the lobby, it's the hub where you can play a game, you can check out your collectibles, you can put a skin on your like heroes, stuff like that. So it's like the main place where you spend most of your time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So from there on, you can obviously play the game. So let's talk about sort of the graphics, because like this is kind of an important part of it, and I think this is part of it. They've done a really great job here. You know, like the graphics, the characters, the player models, the environments, everything is super polished, as you would imagine with a Marvel sort of IP. You know, you look down at the character when you become one. You know, if you want to become the Hulk, you look down, you can see his body, you can see his legs. His arms are connected to you in a way that feels very natural, looks very natural.
Yeah, that totally adds up to the immersion.
It's very nice. And the environments as well, they all look very detailed, very polished. There's a lot of stuff going on in the environments to make them look busy and sort of feel like they're alive. So yeah, in terms of like the graphics, and also I just want to mention as well, like say you choose the Hulk, you're a super tall character, whereas if you play as Rocket, who's tiny character, you actually play the whole game from their perspective. So that's kind of interesting, and I like that they kind of mixed it up a little bit.
The sense of scale is awesome, and I do have to say that on my computer, on my rig, it worked completely fine on Ultra. I'm running it on a 1080 Ti, and you have a Titan X, right? For so you, it shouldn't be a problem either, but...
Yeah, so I'm running the Maxwell Titan X, so like the old generation one, but we did recently play with Paradise Decay, and he was running it on a 1060, and he did say that he did struggle a little bit because it is quite graphically intensive, and he was saying that even on low settings he was getting a little bit of stutter, so just be aware of that going in. You know, if you've got a low-end sort of graphics card or running a VR laptop maybe, then you may struggle with this title, but you know, just have a play around with it, because there isn't that many options in the settings to sort of dial it down that much.
Not yet.
You just kind of have low, medium, high, and ultra. There's no other sort of real settings that you can toggle or play around with right now, but you know, that's kind of what we've experienced so far. So in terms of like gameplay and locomotion options, it's smooth locomotion, which is kind of surprising. You know, it's been a long way since we've had these sort of smooth locomotion games, because they've mainly been Steam games in the past. You know, it was only recently at Oculus Connect 4 where they were like, okay, we're having Onward now, which is a smooth locomotion game, and they've really come around to the fact that this is what the community wants, right?
Yeah, it's finally happening where Oculus introduces smooth locomotion, walking locomotion to newcomers. Because if you buy this as a bundle and you start playing the game, you can't even turn on teleportation. You can dash in combination with walking, but there is no teleportation anymore.
No, that's right. But, you know, say if you are susceptible to motion sickness and you're a newcomer to maybe VR and, you know, the genre, then you can, like, dash around, like Nathie just said, and you can also, like, snap rotate in terms of the joystick as well. So if you maybe you don't have, like, 3 sensors or a setup for 360 movement in the Oculus Rift, then even with 2 front-facing sensors, you could still teleport and snap rotate to navigate around. So it does sort of cater to everyone. But the game is obviously best played as a co-op game, right? 4 players. You can invite your friends or just hook up with random people and create a random match. And I think that's definitely the best way to enjoy this game, is to play it with either friends that you know and play with as well. I agree. Or just maybe, you know, I'm sure there'll be a Discord for sort of players to search for each other. Join a Discord, make some friends there, play together there.
Yeah, it's one of those grinding games where it's fun to socialize in the meanwhile, you know, chit-chat about life. It's not like constantly about the game. You have enough time to just chill, relax, and talk about daily things.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll get more on to the fact that there is grind. There is a lot of grind in this if you want to finish the game, put it that way. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff to keep you busy in between the grind, and that is, you know, like each character, out of all the characters that are available, they all have 4 different ability challenges, so you can max out each character. So say Rocket Raccoon, for example, if you choose him, you know, if you use his scatter gun and knock down 10 foes, you'll get a star. If you do 20, you'll get 2 stars. If you get 30, you'll get 3, 40. And then if you get 4 stars, well, then you earn a bone, which sounds kind of strange, but the bones are for Lockjaw, which is the dog in the space station. And I will get onto more about why you need those later. But so there's lots of sort of different challenges that you could do, and you could spend ages grinding and you know, leveling up each character to get all the different cosmetics and stuff. So the one thing though is, with all these characters, they're completely all unlocked from the beginning. You know, you don't have to work to unlock them, which I thought was a bit of a shame. There was a bit of a missed opportunity there, right? Because it kind of has that Mario Kart 8 problem that was on the Switch. You know, if you've ever played that, you know what I mean. Because the game was on Wii U, and you had to really play the game to unlock all the roster of characters, which was kind of an incentive to keep playing. But with this game, they're all unlocked from the beginning, so there is no real incentive, I don't feel, unless you really want to get all the cosmetics and all the poses and everything else, to really sort of keep playing and explore all the different characters. That was kind of what I was going with that.
No, I totally agree on that. I was surprised that all the characters were available from the start. Like, let's say if you gave us Captain America and Black Widow and that's it, and we had to unlock the rest by playing the game itself, by, you know, grinding, that would have been way more interesting, because at this moment the only thing you can collect for your superhero is a new outfit, a collectible, and
like a pose for your
pose. Yes, for the snap you can make at the end, like a winner's pose. So there isn't anything else you really have to play for. Yes, of course you want to beat Thanos in the end, but it's not like you can gather characters that you then learn to play. No, you can just pick the best one straight away and just beat the entire game. That's it, because there are characters that are way overpowered compared to the others, and after a while you know what those characters are capable of, and then you will just constantly pick them to finish up the game. And that's what I don't like. I sometimes want to play with a hero that I might not like that much, so I kind of learn what they are all about, and maybe you start to like them later. But now it's just, you can just go for the easy option and just play like a huge superhero like Hulk, and you just smash everything into little pieces. Well, you kind of wanted to work towards the Hulk and say, like, I'm gonna like aim for the Hulk. I want to unlock this one because it's going to be epic if I can play with that. Then the excitement already starts from the beginning.
Exactly.
Now the excitement doesn't even, it's not even there because you already have everything.
Yeah, exactly. And there's different sort of types of characters. You've got like brawlers, you've got shooters, you've got flyers,
Spell fighters, Doctor Strange. You keep on forgetting about Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange,
you enjoy
that's
playing.
My favorite character.
Yeah,
Doctor Strange in this game is lit, okay?
Yeah.
It is.
It's lit.
It is lit.
But there's a good mix of gameplay styles there, right? So, depending on what kind of character you like, there's something there for everyone, put it that way. But what I was a bit disappointed in is that there wasn't sort of like a reliant on character roles. Like Overwatch, for example, you need a tank, you need a support, you need a healer, you don't need that in this game. You could all 4 of you play as the Hulk and you'll be fine, or all 4 of you could play as Deadpool and you'll be fine. There wasn't really that sort of interaction with the different characters' abilities to kind of make you feel like you need a specific team, right?
Yeah, that's right. Like, the game has been portrayed as a multiplayer game in where you need to work together. It also carries the name Marvel Powers United. So it's kind of like we're gonna unite these powers. We are going to work together. We are going to bundle these powers to defeat the enemy. But it's not like that. No. You just... It's like you're in this arena together with the 4 of you. But it's not like you need each other that much. No, and... there is a way you can work together, and that is by, let's say, I'm Doctor Strange and I freeze the enemy, and then Mike kills it off with Rocket. It gives a pop-up saying like, okay, you did this together, but it's not gonna be like I grab Rocket as Hulk, I throw him into the air, and he does like an epic, shootout from above. It's not gonna happen. No. It's not working like that, and that's what I miss the most. It's about the Avengers. The Avengers in the movies, they work together,
Exactly, and like you say, based on the game's name, Marvel Powers United, you would think that if each individual character saved their ultimate move up, that you could all like touch fists like the Power Rangers in the middle, and then something epic will happen, like like the Milano from Guardians of the Galaxy would come down and start just shooting everyone and take everyone out for you. But yeah, that doesn't really happen, and you kind of feel like one player could carry a whole team. One player could do all the work. The rest of the team could be a team of noobs and not really contribute, and there wouldn't be any difference. You'd probably still succeed, because despite the fact that we played it for such a long time, and even though I've played it on my own just with AI bots and random strangers as well, like I never felt like game was really that challenging. I never felt like, oh, I'm gonna actually die, or I'm gonna lose this mission, we're gonna fail.
The difficulty in general isn't that spicy, but I think that's because of the fact that Oculus offers this game to beginners out there. It's not just bundled for a random reason. No, they want new people to jump into this Marvel game and get the feel for what VR is all about. So I still think that the main target of Marvel Power United is for the beginners, the newcomers, the rookies. I'm not sure about you, but for a VR veteran, this is not that challenging. It's easy to beat. It's something you can't really lose on. They constantly want the player to succeed. They never try to let you fail in any way.
No, and that's exactly what I felt about the game as well. Like, I think newcomers will like it. VR veterans, people that have been in the space for a while and played a variety of different VR games, probably won't find it that interesting. If you're a massive fan of the Marvel Universe, of course you will. There's always something to be had in this game, because there's so much content here in terms of the Marvel Universe, but it's everything else that lets it down. And I think this is where we get to the crux of the thing that really sort of spoiled the whole experience for me, and I'm sure you felt the same way about it, and that is the lack of variety in terms of gameplay. Because this game at heart is an arena wave shooter, essentially. It's just waves of enemies coming, wave after wave. You shoot them, you slash them, you take them down with your spells. But really, your objective on each level is the same, and this is exactly what it is. You've got these like quantum relays which you have to protect from the enemies in the first few waves, and then a generator turns up which has batteries, which there are 8 of. And then you've got to go and collect those batteries and put them in the generator, and then you fight a boss, or maybe 2 bosses, and then that mission is ended. And just regardless of what character you choose or what location you choose you want to fight in, the mechanics and the gameplay are exactly the same. And we played it for what, 5-6 hours, and I would say like the first 2 hours we had with the game, super fun. We both were like, yeah, this is great. And then it was like, are we serious? We have to do the same thing again? Oh, we have to do the same thing again? And it was just like, it just felt like, you mentioned earlier the grind, and that's exactly where the grind comes in, because you're going to be grinding and you're going to be playing it purely to get the cosmetic items and the poses for your favorite character, but you're not really going to be having the great time in the game unless you're playing with really, funny friends that you really like want to hang out with anyway, like you said.
Yeah, you're kind of playing for the satisfying moment where you open a loot box and you get your skin or collectible, but then you need to go back and do the same repetitive stuff over again to get to the next loot box. And this game mode is really fun at the start. I think it's a great game mode. But then later on you discovered that that's the only game mode. It's the same game mode every 10 to 15 minutes. There's nothing else. There is no deathmatch. There is no, let's say, team deathmatch. You are not fighting against each other. It's always you working together. It's just an arena with waves of enemies. You need to protect objectives. You need to power up objectives. And that's all. And we first wanted to, see if there was more out there. So we played for like 5 to 6 hours to maybe in the hope that we would actually encounter any other game modes, but no.
And this is what I was thinking, what would I want? And you was thinking, you're superheroes, right? You want to save people, so they could be like humans out there that need to be saved, like maybe there's a rock like strapped on a human. All 4 of you need to gather up at some point to lift that rock off them. Or, like there was the Milano from Guardians and it had crashed and you have to power up it with fuel rather than like a generator, and then that can help you out, take out some enemies. Just like just to spice it up a little bit, because this is the thing, like, everything else about the game is so polished, the environments, the characters, the unlocks, the progression. You feel a part of this Marvel universe, which is amazing, but then you just get this dull, repetitive gameplay grind loop that you just like, it takes the joy out of it a little bit, and other than the fact that I really want to just fight Thanos and find out what happens at the end of the game, I wouldn't probably go back and play it otherwise.
No, it's more about the points than really the skill. There is no skill involved. You just shoot, you just throw your shield. It's an arcadey title. It is. It's not very in-depth in any way, so you're not going to compare it to Overwatch at all.
No.
But I don't know, I just felt like this game, of course it needs more game modes. You can't just release a game with just one game mode. That's what I call an unfinished product. If you bring a multiplayer and you really want people to play 8 hours and then go into the same game mode all the time, like I can't believe that anyone even that tested it had that much fun playing that for 8 hours. I don't think so. I don't believe that.
Exactly, and you hit the nail on the head there, because the gameplay missions are probably 15 to 20 minutes long, and it will probably take you about 6 to 8 hours of gameplay to get to the point where you can collect all the cosmic cubes which you collect from the enemies, because you need 24 of them to fight Thanos.
25.
And like you said, it is the same gameplay loop over and over again, and I'm surprised, like you said, that through the Q&A testing stage of this game, that someone hasn't just put their hands up in the air and said, hang on a minute guys, I really like what you've done here, but this bit's a little bit boring, should we just add a little bit more? And I really hope that they add more, because they are talking about DLC already, which they said they're going to be free, by the way, so I'm sure we'll expect more characters and stuff, but more game modes are definitely what this game desperately needs right now to make it more fun and enjoyable to play and add to a bit of variety to the gameplay, because right now I would say that is the one thing that really spoils this game and the potential of it. So, like you said, the game is called Marvel Powers United, but I would say that this game is going to have the VR community divided, because there will be people out there that are the VR veterans that have played a lot of VR content, maybe bought a Rift in the early days, that have seen all this kind of gameplay before and they're kind of bored of it already. They want something a bit more, interesting with a story to pull them through, or some different mechanics.
It feels like it's not an all-round game for everyone out there. No. As I said before, if I would be like new to VR and I would buy a Rift bundle and I would play this, I would be overly excited. I would be so hyped playing this.
Of course
because I can be every hero. It's my first time in VR. I can see my hands, and I can be whoever I want to be, and they do the voice lines, and you know, it's mind-blowing. Yeah. But as a VR veteran, there are games out there that are co-op, multiplayer, that are way better, that actually make use out of that teamwork and that interaction. There is no interaction in this title. It's you can't work together, and that's what this game needs. It needs, yes, game modes, and it needs more interaction in a way where you can work together. Then it's fine. Like, the visuals are nice, all the heroes you can play are enough, you know, and the maps are super cool too. They are like unique in their own way.
No, and that's what I would say. You know, overall, I would say this is a Marmite game. You know, it's one of those games you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. You know, there's really no sort of in between. You know, if you're going to love it because it's a Marvel game, you're going to hate it for the repetitive and unchallenging gameplay. And I think, you know, overall, if we were going to give it a score out of 10, you know, I think it's sort of, for me, it sort of sits around a sort of 6 out of 10 right now. I don't know about you, Nathie.
Yeah, it's like 5, 6. I think a 6 would be fair. If there are more game modes in there, it goes way up for sure, and it's the same with working together. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. If you could work together and there was some better game modes, it would be a solid 8 out of 10, I would say.
Oh yeah.
But because it just feels like a joyless grind right now to get to the end, it kind of takes the shine off the game. So yeah, a 6 out of 10 is.
I do have to say that yes, it takes you around 6 to 8 hours to finish up the game. So I think that fighting Thanos is like the best you can do in this title. And then next to that, you can also grind a bit more for all the costumes and the collectibles, because the costumes are coming out of random loot boxes. Now, I do think you can't get doubles, so you always will get one that you don't have yet. And with the collectibles, it's like you just unlock a collectible. It goes to one of the rooms within the you know, hub, and then you can just grab it. Like you unlock a newspaper from Spiderman, and you hold it for a second. It's like, okay, well, that's nice, and it like pops up inside your menu, so you can see what you unlocked. But tell some more about the bones you can get, because that's kind of cool.
Yeah, we got kind of all drawn into like the kind of spicy stuff. But yeah, in terms of like the unlockables, you know, each character, like I said, has 4 different challenges. So, you know, take down a certain number of foes using this special character ability. And then when you do that, if you do that and get 4 stars and max out that, then you get rewarded with a bone. And with that bone, you can give it to Lockjaw, who is the dog in the space sort of station. And if you give it to him, then he will reward you with a legendary loot crate, because you earn loot crates from your gameplay anyway, but he will give you a legendary one. And a legendary one is likely to have a legendary item in it, or a really like legendary skin. And like Nathie said, you know, you can put the legendary items, they're in a sort of separate little room within your base, and you can see the special ones you've unlocked, and they also get dotted around the sort of area as well, so you can actually pick them up and look at them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you can feed him the bone. It's really cute, and he's like very, very hungry. He's like, oh, nom, 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 give it to me.
Yeah, he loves it.
And it's the same with Groot. Like the fact he's there and you see him for a second, it's so magical.
Yeah.
Like, we would love to see more Marvel stuff in VR. You know, I can still remember the Spider-Man movie experience. It wasn't that like great, but the feel you got from that was like, I want to have more. I want to have a Spider-Man game in VR. I want to be Peter Parker, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping for, where they don't pick all the characters. They just go for one. Let's say you can play a campaign with Captain America for 2 hours, you know? Or work together with a friend in like a co-op title. I mean,
absolutely, and I think that's where they've spent all their time in this game is the characters, you know, and the locations, rather than the gameplay, which is really is the thing that's going to keep you coming back. So it is a shame, really, that it's kind of like a very polished game, but has this kind of sour taste in your mouth when you have to keep on going back to grind for more stuff. So yeah, hopefully maybe the game will get updated. You know, I hope that maybe we've informed you enough in terms of the good and the bad of this game, so you can make an informed decision on, you know, yourself whether you should buy this one or not. And you know, if you like these kind of style of reviews and discussion where we just kind of frankly talk about a game that we've played and we sort of team up together and talk about it and sort of do a review in sort of collaboration, then we'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below if you enjoy it, because if you do, then maybe we'll do more in the future. But certainly it was fun to team up for this one. You know, we always have fun playing together, but it was just like, it did get to the point where I was like, dude, like, I don't know if I can play this game anymore for now. Like, maybe tomorrow we can play some more to try and fight Thanos, but until then, you know, I'm kind of done with it. But we'd love to know your thoughts as well, you know.
Let us know. Like, post your feedback in the comments too. We are happy to hear your experience with this one. Like, for us, it's sometimes also hard to review games because we are VR veterans, you know. I have been playing VR games for 5 years now, so games like these don't surprise me that much anymore. But going back to the roots, I do think that beginners are going to love this.
Yeah.
And if you are a fan of Marvel too, I mean, if you watched all the movies and then you see all these environments and you can be those characters, you're totally immersed in a way. It's just fun to then play and do the voice lines yourself too, because you know them better than the game does. So yeah, I think for beginners and for Marvel fans, big thumbs up.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So there we have it. That is our review of Marvel Powers United. So I hope you guys and girls enjoyed this one. Leave a like if you did, and yeah, maybe we'll see you on the next review. But until then, have fun in the metaverse, and bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.
See you later.